I'm doing random story times. Apparently, in my town, if I look disheveled, it's because I cannot take a shower till tomorrow. I'm having a bird bath. But in the meantime, it's not the same. So stay 10 feet away from me, please, and thank you. And I was going to wash my hair today because I thought it would make me feel better, you know? And I just don't have the energy. Look at that. I gotta paint that wall. That's atrocious. That's from my chair scratching the paint off the wall. But anyways, what's the point of this video? Oh yeah. So in my town or whatever, there's an incident being reported that this I call them telemarketers. They're not telemarketers. They're door salesman people. Anyways, went up to this lady's house and he walked in. And if you didn't know, I did a story a few months back where a guy literally walked into my auntie's house and let her rescue dog out. It was the whole thing. Big drama fest. And so they're lurking. I've already known they're lurking. You know, the people of opportunity, you know, that are looking to sort of, you know, and they this is not to pass judgment because let me just tell you, I've known some very nicely dressed criminals. Okay, you wouldn't suspect a thing. That's the whole point of dressing nicely and doing your nails and your hair and, you know, because they're scammers. Anyways, so I don't judge people, but I do notice an influx of strangers in the neighborhood that I've never seen. Just passing by, walking, having a lucky low, you know, so you got to be really, really aware. And just this Sunday, a man with no logo on his t-shirt, no clipboard, nothing, was walking around the neighborhood. But he only went to my neighbor's house and came to my house. As soon as he came to my house, I gave him the death stare. I gave him the look of a woman that's been through 4 divorces and 3 cheating husbands. Okay, I was like, I'm not interested. So move along, little doggy, move along. So, but then I watched him after that, and he didn't get in a vehicle. He wasn't even in a vehicle. And he walked away from our street, and then he completely went up the other side of the street. He didn't knock on anyone's doors. He only knocked on my neighbor's door, and he didn't have to knock on mine because I was already outside. So be aware of what is going on. But I have to tell you this story. When I was younger, well, I didn't live at home, but my sister, I don't think she'll mind if I tell this story. I don't think so. Anyways, my sister was only like, she was in her young teens. And she was in the shower. She'd come home from her sporting practice or whatever. She was in the shower. And she came downstairs. We had like a split level thing where the bathroom and the bedrooms were upstairs and the living room is down the stairs. And she came down in her towel, probably to get a brush or something. I don't have no idea. Anyways, there was this man, just this random man sitting on the couch that she had never seen before. He was a grown-ass man. And, you know, like I said, she's a teenager. And that time I didn't live at home, but I was about 20-ish. So it wasn't anyone I, you know, knew. And it wasn't anyone that our other sibling knew. But he was looking for our other sibling. And allegedly, it might have had something to do with a little bit of green, you know, smoky. That's the only thing that we could ever have figured out that he was there for. Because what would a grown-ass man have to do with some teenagers? So she asked him, she's like, who are you? And he asked for our other sibling. And she said, well, he's not here. And you need to leave. But she's scared because she's got a towel on her, you know. She's like, you need to leave. And she's frozen in the moment. You know, me, I would have grabbed the biggest kitchen knife, you know, done what I could, do a little damage. But she was just so scared. She said, I just stood there until he got up and walked out. I'm like, were you like, were you going to do something? Were you going to kick him where it counts? She said, no, I was too afraid. So I just stood there frozen. Then I locked the door. She said she was too afraid to even lock the door when he left. But anyways, when I was living in this place, the whole point is lock your doors. I'm just babbling because I can at this point in time. When I lived in this place, I lived in this apartment. Really good people, but it had a bad reputation. Because people, you know, they just hate on what they ain't on, you know. So anyways, I lived in this apartment and I was in the, I was in my apartment. And for some reason, like I don't like couches or chairs facing the door or like an opening. They have to be, even my bed has to be against the wall. I'm a real weirdo like that. Anyways, but in this apartment, the only way that I could set it up was that the couch was against one wall and the chair was like floating in the room. It's like not against a wall sort of thing. So I'm on the telephone and I used to leave my apartment door open because the kids used to come in and out and their friends. These were the good old days when you could just keep your guard down. You just, whoever's coming in is coming in. I'm going to tell another story after this. I just remembered now. So I'm on the phone and I hear someone come in. So my back is to the door. And I hear someone come in. I just figure it's the kids or one of their friends or whatever. And I continue to yap on the phone. But then I realize they haven't come from, you know, coming in through the door. They haven't come around to the living room or gone down the hall to the bedrooms. So I'm like, that's weird. So I stand up. This was a long, you know, now I wouldn't have had a long conversation like that. I would have stood up right away. But it was about 6 minutes into my phone conversation. I finally decided I better see who the hell that was that came in. I turn around and it's this lady who unfortunately had to be heavily medicated, but she was supposed to be harmless. She's just standing in my doorway. The door's closed and she's just standing there bewildered, looking around like this. And I'm like, hello, excuse me, can I help you? And she's like, oh, I must have the wrong apartment. You think? So I went and told her husband. I said, I don't care, but what it was is she was so zonked off the, you know, whatever her doctor had her on, that because we lived in the same, like, she got off on the wrong floor, essentially, but we're in the same area as the apartment would be. Anyways, it was just funny. It was funny, but, I mean, I feel sorry for her, but it was funny because I was like, wait a minute, someone just walked through that door 6 minutes ago, and I haven't seen them. Where are they? Oh, I don't know you. And she's just standing there. Like, I don't even think she would have left if I hadn't turned around. I gotta plug in my phone. So anyways, this is my next story. This was back in my drinking days. I know this is a horrible angle. Just turn your phone screen off or something. Or put it upside down. I used to drink with my neighbors. And, like, at nighttime, we'd listen to music or whatever. And, what am I trying to say? So, unfortunately, I was going through, like, a rough time. Because my kid's dad was being whatever. You can fill in the blanks. So I had decided I had enough of him. And I'm going to move on and have a big, bold life all by myself. Yes, I am. How am I going to get over this? Oh, I'm going to start hanging out with this neighbor of mine. Who, let me just tell you right now, was not someone that would be on my list now as potential mates. Anywho, so we start dating, kind of, sort of. Like, he comes over and we drink and listen to music and whatever. And so I started to get fed up with him because I have a tendency to, like, if I don't, you know, after a couple of weeks or so, if you, like, bore me, I get rid of you, toss you aside. But he was kind of giving me red flags-ish. It's a little too aggressive, and I was just going to get rid of him. I was just going to kind of be done. Anyways, so he called me And he said, can I come up tonight? And I said, no, I'm spending the night at my relative's house. So yeah, and I figure if I did this enough times, eventually he'd get the hint and, you know, leave me alone. So, but I wasn't spending the night at my relative's house. I was, out there visiting, and then I was just going to go home and be really quiet, you know, get the kids to bed, turn off the lights, and sit in the corner of my dining room and just be on the computer, listen to music, whatever. So all the lights are out in my apartment, so even if he goes outside, he'll see like no one's home, sort of thing. So I'm just chilling there and listening to music or whatever, and then I hear the door open. I'm like, what the hell's that? Right? And again, this is in the same apartment the strange lady had come through the door, so nothing at this point surprised me. So I'm like, what is that? And then I look, and I'm like, it's the guy that I, you know, was seeing or whatever. He's in my apartment. So I'm really, really quiet, because remember, I said I was sleeping at relatives, you know. So I'm really, really quiet, and I'm in the corner. I'm like, shit, I hope he doesn't see me here. Then I'm like, why would I be worried if he sees me here? How the hell did he get in my apartment? So I just sit there quietly, though, anyways. And I hear him go in the fridge and take my beers. I can't even think about having beers in a fridge anymore. But anyways, so I'm like, so I stand up at this point, because I was going to just like be quiet and watch him leave and then confront him in the morning, sort of thing. But then I stand up, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes, oh, I was just taking some beers. Oh, okay. That's the least of my worries. How the fuck did you get into my apartment? He goes, oh, these locks are easy. I was like, these locks? Well, this is not your first door picking thing you've done. He goes, yeah, they're easy. Just slide. I'm like, are you going to apologize for what you just did? You know you're not allowed to go in other people's apartments that are not yours? And he's like, well, it's okay. I just wanted to take a couple beers and, you know. I'm like, how many times have you been in my apartment when I'm not here? Because I used to go away all the time and whatever. He's like, oh, this is the first time. I'm like, no, it's not. Because if you knew how to open the door, it most certainly wasn't your first time, number one. And number two, you've most likely been scoping out the place for a while because you knew, like, you know, the lights are off, no one's home. So, stupid me, and again, drinking, you know, there's a reason why I don't drink. I make very bad decisions. And so anyways, I forgave him, whatever, and let him back in and hung out with him. And I was, again, I went out one time again, and because my relatives lived in the area, so I would go and literally hang out, have supper, just relax. I like their house better than my apartment. But anyway, so I go out, and I think I was supposed to be back at like 7. But like, I don't have a man. Like, even though him and me were kind of seeing each other, whatever, I don't have a keeper. I can do whatever the flink I want. I'm not doing anything wrong anyway. I'm just with my family. So I come home at like 8 or 9, right? And I'm like opening my door, and I feel like someone's there. You know how you just feel like you're going to open the door to a surprise and it's not going to be a surprise birthday party? So I open the door and I go in. I'm like, I feel like someone's here. Like, I feel weird. I feel like someone's been here. And I didn't even think about him, you know, having access to the apartment or whatever before, because he swore up and down he would never do that. So, and I believed him. So I go in anyways, I'm in the thing or whatever, and I see something on my balcony. It's a lit cigarette, right? All of a sudden my balcony door opens and he's there again. But guess what he's done? He's shaved his head, completely bald, and he looks, and I don't have anything against people that are bald or that shave their head at all. Let me just put that out there. That's a disclaimer. But he had shaved his head. He went from having, you know, hair to being bald. So he looked like a psycho killer. Plus, he's in my apartment for now the second time that I know of, unauthorized. So he was already standing there with his eyes like this, all trying to be intimidating or whatever, right? He's like, "Where were you?" I'm like, I told him my relative's house. He goes, "Oh, you said you'd be back at 7. It's 9 o'clock. I was worried." I'm like, worried? They were literally just around the block. Okay. And he goes, "Are you sure are you sure you weren't downstairs?" Because downstairs lived this single dad with 2 kids. They were just the sweetest little kids. And he had got it in his head that I was in love with this guy downstairs because we had hung out at the park a couple times with our kids. He was just a nice guy, but I didn't, he was never on my list of potential, mates or anything like that. I don't know why I keep using that potential mates thing. He was never on, never on any radar of mine anyways, but he was just a good dad and he took care of his kids. So he had got in his head that I liked him or something, but that would have never been a go, even whatever. So he goes, you were downstairs. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. And at this point, I'm laughing because I'm like, this guy's really crazy. And he's standing there talking to me in the dark. I still haven't turned on the apartment lights for some reason. And he's like standing there and he's got this bald head and he looks crazed. And I've never seen him with a bald head too, right? So, if you've never seen anyone bald and then they go bald, it's very shocking. Let me just say that. So he's standing there. I'm like, no. And then he goes, "So you going to say anything?" I'm like, "What do you want me to say?" And he goes, "You like my hair?" And I'm like, "Well, you don't have any. So what is there? What is there to like? You don't have any hair." So anyways, long story short, he turned out to be something else. I won't get into the stories because I got about 4 more. He was he was someone, like I said, thank God I don't drink anymore to make those stupid ass decisions, because he was something else. Let me just say that. He was something else. All right, thanks for talking to me, guys. I appreciate you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed my dumb stories. That's all they are, is just dumb. They're just dumb.